Welcome back to Biz15, the Yorkshire Business Podcast. I've got the pleasure of being joined by Liam and Mark from the Sheffield Eagles, who are two of the senior leadership team and a driving force behind both the squad and the business. Liam is the general manager. I'll introduce Liam, and Mark is the commercial manager. Liam, do you just want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Liam. I'm the general manager at the club. I've been in post for 6 years now. I came to Sheffield, 12 years ago for university, and then basically stopped ever since really and stayed in South Yorkshire. So no, it's a busy time for us at the minute, leading up to the season. But yeah, it's a good time as well.
Perfect. And Mark?
Yeah, Mark Hannigan. I'm the commercial manager here at the Eagles, and I deal with all the sponsorship and run the sort of the business, the bookkeeping side of the club as well. I've been here since 2017, I think, when I just came in as a volunteer to run the corporate lounge on match days, and still here. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. It's you guys are actually our first external guest to the show. So yeah, thanks for joining us. How's the last 18 months been in the sporting world? Liam, I'll hand over to you.
Crazy. COVID just sort of hit everyone for six really. It was tough, especially from a sort of player welfare point of view and mental health side and things like that we didn't know from week to week what was going to happen. So we sort of, the squad went off, they went on furlough, and they took that really well, very quickly. But from week to week we didn't know what was going on, so they kept in physical shape at home. But from week to week they didn't know if we was going to restart the season, when the new season was going to start, when we was coming back, how that would look. So yeah, that was very tough to sort of keep morale up. And then from the business side as well, it was very tough with speaking with sponsors, speaking with season ticket holders, and all that side of things. So yeah, it was tough. We're coming out the other side of it now, fingers crossed. We've still got to do the testing and everything like that with the COVID testing and put all the right things in place. But yeah, fingers crossed that we're coming out the other side of it.
How was it for you, Mark?
Yeah, it was difficult. I think it was the speed at which it hit as well. I think we played the day before or 2 days before they announced the first national lockdown. And it was touch and go up until the day before. We had rumours that the lockdown was going to come. Would we play? Wouldn't we play? So it was difficult from that point of view. And as Liam touched on, we had only played, 5 games, I think, something like that. We had sponsorship contracts in place. People had paid their sponsorships. But fortunately, everyone was really good with us and understood the huge impact that this pandemic would have on sport as a whole, and particularly ourselves.
I think the thing is that people didn't know what was going to happen, and that's the thing. We as a business, Brook, we're sponsors to the Eagles, and I think we came to the breakfast event, and then everything got shut down, and there was nothing we could do about it. And it didn't matter because it was it's a contribution to the club, and no one can prepare for it.
I think honestly, if we're being honest, I think when we shut down in March, whenever it was, I think we expected to be back playing by mid-June, 1st of July when it first happened, and then obviously it just went on and on and on. I think it was maybe August before we found out that the season wouldn't...
It was end of July, yes. There was looking at one stage having a condensed season, then there was looking at potentially a short winter competition, and then so we just didn't know where we was at. And then again, it was a difficulty as well because we haven't got our own facilities at the moment, is trying to book a gym, for example, and like everywhere was shut down, and then the cleaning side of it and things like that, we couldn't get in anywhere. The testing where we could bring the lads back in, and our playing squad is quite spread out as well. We've got a lot of players in Hull, a lot of players in West Yorkshire, some local to South Yorkshire, some over the other side of the Pennine, so it was very tough to sort of manage that side as well. But I've got to say to them, to their credit, they sort of took everything on the chin, and we had a sort of Zoom meeting every Monday night and said, look, this is what's going on, this is what we're doing, and they're pretty fine with it, to be fair. They got on with it, which, yeah, credit to them. You
mentioned morale and keeping it going. What did you do as not just in your role as a GM or your roles, how did the club keep it going?
So one side, like Mark said, season ticket holders, it was tough for them, so we looked at what other clubs were doing, we looked at what other sports teams were doing, and then we launched with Facebook Live videos. So every week we sort of simulated a game. So we did like the match day graphics of the squad, the half-time score, the full-time score, and then we did a Facebook Live of a past game. So the first game in Super League against Paris, when we won finals, we did all these and allowed fans to engage with each other on the Facebook. And then it was nice that ex-players from them games as well were engaging with the fans on Facebook. So we got a lot of engagement through social media with the supporters that way. And then the squad just sort of kept together as well, and we did the Zooms, we did updates. Mark, our coach, wanted a joke from each player, so every day a player has to put a joke in the group, and just little things just to keep each other going really throughout it. But yeah, again, hopefully, like I said, we've come out the other side of it.
No, it's really interesting you say that, because on previous episodes that we've ran, the last two have been based around well-being of staff. And I think sometimes from an external person looking in, a player is a player, but they're not their staff. They're staff to the club. So they're just as important to keep everything going like a business would do, or how you would envisage a business. But at the end of the day, the club still have staff. It still is a business to be run, and there's got to be some form of infrastructure put in place for someone who is potentially isolated. Their life would be gym and training. They've taken that potentially away from them, and it could have gone one of two ways.
Yeah, and like I say, you sort of they are staff, but they come together 3 nights a week for training with their mates, essentially, their group of 25 mates, and then to take that away from them, and they're either living at home on their own, or the family, or the parents, whatever it is, it's tough for them. So yeah, we're looking at the fact that our assistant coach, Keith Senior, works for Rugby League Cares, which is the registered charity of Rugby Football League, and he's the transition manager there, so he helps players transition from playing into jobs after Rugby League. But again, he was very good to lean on as advice and things like that, and help implement a few things during the lockdown to make sure that we kept morale up and we kept the staff motivated. And
from the commercial side of things, Mark, that probably adds a similar impact potentially during COVID, where yes, you had the players and the things on the pitch were or on and off the pitch weren't great, but also there was a business element to that as well.
Yes, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of our major sponsors were really good with us, really positive, and we worked with them through the lockdown period. But the thing with COVID for me was the hardest thing I found was probably last season, where we were playing behind closed doors, because we're giving sponsors X, Y, and Z, but we can't actually give them anything because they're not allowed to attend games. The regulations are in place, but we're still playing and the fans can't be there, and that was quite difficult to manage. But again, through the support of the sponsors, as soon as we could get them back in, we opened up as much as we could in a short space of time as possible to try and give them that match day experience.
Well, I have to say, I mentioned earlier, we're your sponsors, and we continue to be sponsors, but the actual live streaming of the games was great, especially seeing as a lot of games were on Sunday as well. Yeah. So it was more of a case of we had the time to be able to watch them. We managed to get our sponsor, as in the Brook sponsorship, as a feature, and we actually had people text us afterwards saying, "I didn't realise you were sponsored." So actually, you might think that you didn't have too much to give back. We got a fair bit from it, not in terms of tangible, someone ringing us up saying, "I've seen you on the Sheffield Eagles stream. How about that 10-day lean job?" It didn't, obviously that's never going to happen, but from a brand awareness point of view, people recognised us and people saw the logo flash up. It was great.
So from our point of view as well, which is brilliant, it's been able to give back. You look at the business thing of that was a cost to the club. There was a cost to us to do the live stream, which it was never in debate. We had to do it because we had to be able to put... What we do as a business is our product is what happens on that pitch for 80 minutes. We don't make baked beans or tomato sauce. We don't sell anything like that. It's rugby. So that's our product that we put out there, and we had to be able to put it out there. And the live stream enabled us to do that during the year.
Yeah, I've got to say the benefit of the live stream as well is that the Rugby Football League, I've led on that through the Our League app, and the numbers have now shot up to 200,000 downloads of this app, and they've been able to build up a decent amount of data to work out the dwell times, how many people watch certain games, this, that and the other, and then from that they've built that data, and then they've gone out and we've got now a 2-year deal with Premier Sports to broadcast games on Monday night. So from building that data up over the sort of the lockdown, then they've been able to go out and get a broadcast deal for the Championship, which is great.
And let's fast forward now 18 months from when COVID first came around. Are you still, I guess it's hard to suggest anything from the next season or what's going to happen because it's all a forecast, but has anything from the last 18 months impacted the way that you're planning for the next season?
Yes and no. So we were very fortunate last year in that we knew we was going to be playing at the Keepmoat Stadium because the build was happening down at the Olympic Legacy Park in Sheffield, so we was able to be outside the city. But Doncaster and the Rovers had everything in place with COVID, so we've learnt a lot from Club Doncaster in that sense. And then a lot of the COVID restrictions were eased, but again, we've had to go to that top level and learn everything. So then, when it does hopefully come down to a less restricted level, we can implement it quite quickly and quite easily at a new venue as well. So no, we're fairly confident that we can hit all of our targets in terms of what we need to deliver in terms of make sure we're safe and make sure everyone's everyone's well-being's correct for match days.
Is there any? Do you think there's been any kind of impact on potential fans turning up?
Yeah,
or do you think that they're a bit nervous about? I'm still going to be in a stadium full of loads.
Definitely, like Matt touched on, we played 5 games last year. Our last game was Workington in the Challenge Cup, and we only had sort of 330, 340 at that game. And you look at the sales of that game. Majority of our fan base is getting older, and we need to action that and challenge that and get a younger fan base in. But a lot of our fan base didn't come because he was in that older bracket, and they're quite fearful. And again, when we returned against Featherstone in the May the following year, a lot of our older fans stayed away for some time as well, and we was coming back to a 15,000 seater stadium and anyone could sit anywhere, and with social distance there was still like worrying people, and hopefully that will go. Again, we've got the booster jabs and things coming in now, and we're still testing the players once a week and things like that, so hopefully it will ease. But again, there will be some restrictions as we kick off the season next year. And
has there been any impact actually from the players, or the players just like, we're raring to go, we want to put potentially all the last 18 months nightmare behind us around social bubbles and all that stuff that comes with training?
It hit us the back end of July. I had it. Majority of the players had it. We had to call off 2 games, one at home against York, which we were really disappointed about. They was going to bring a large fan base with them. That was really tough for us. And then Bradford away as well, which we thought could have been a winnable fixture. We was just getting back into the form. We just lost closely against Halifax. We thought we could get back in, so that hit us a little bit. But again, hopefully we come out the other side of it now, and the players have just come back into training last week, ready for the season start at the end of January next year. They're all raring to go. There's a positive mood in the camp.
Brilliant. Over to you, Mark. What's the biggest challenge potentially that you're facing in your role? Not necessarily from a COVID impact, but just in a general commercial management role.
There's still a number of businesses who are going through what they're having to go through post-furlough, restructuring, bits and bobs like that, and they're being seen to put money into sport and sponsorship and marketing in general is difficult for them to, what's the word I'm looking for? Justify, given that it might have to make redundancies, etc., and things like that. And I don't think we've seen the worst of the effects of what's happened. That's still to come. Having said that, we are in a fortunate position again. We've got the new stadium coming online, which is really positive for us. The club's coming back into Sheffield permanently after 8 years out in a nomadic existence in various places, from Doncaster, Wakefield. I think we counted it the other day. Liam has managed games in 11 different stadiums, I think it was. So there's so much positivity happening around the club, and that again is breeding interest and for people getting involved. And without wishing to do a disservice to our friends with the round ball, to financially get involved in rugby league is a different league to football, both Premier League and Championship. So
and the people potentially get involved with football because of the potential advantages that a large crowd brings and TV rights. People that are involved in rugby league tend to have a passion for the sport. Hence, And
also, if you look at football now, a lot of them, you can't read the on the shirts. It's Chinese writing on the boards, but that's where the money is. It's a global audience now. So what we've really tried to do is steer away from that side of things and work with local businesses. And if you look at our kits, they're all local businesses, people from South Yorkshire that want to work within South Yorkshire. And a big ethos of what we're doing going forward, now the stadium is coming online, is not only about branding through rugby league on the pitch, doing it off the pitch as well. So it's non-stop networking, business liaison, and bringing them together.
I think that's the good thing that, and the reason why we get involved with the Eagles. One is followed the Eagles ever since I was a kid at Don Valley Stadium. I even played on one of the, I think it was the halftime games. So it's we've been going down for years. But coming back to what you said, Mark. It's the sponsorship element of where we target ourselves as a Yorkshire-based business. So we want to attract Yorkshire businesses, and a platform that has a local element to it is great.
Don't get me wrong, there is a vanity side attached to sports advertising, sports marketing. But we need to create a return on the investment as well. And the bigger return on investment we can make, the better the vanity is, the better the opportunity is for businesses to get involved.
And just to close off this episode, you've touched on it. How's the new stadium coming along? I've seen it on LinkedIn. You can see that there's structures going up. For people that might not necessarily know about the new stadium, how is it? What additional facilities are you going to be bringing, not just to the club, but for businesses as well, and also the local community?
Yeah, it's great, to be fair. Like, everything about it is fantastic. We've never had it in our history. You talk about Don Valley. Don Valley was great, but it was a 25,000 seat athletic stadium with an 8-lane running track and a sand pit between you and the pitch. This will be on top of the action. It's the right size for us. It will have everything we need. It ticks all our boxes. It'll be fantastic for us. So now, from a commercial point of view, we'll have all the facilities that we need there. From a fan point of view, we'll have all of that. We'll announce soon that the stadium's going to be cashless. We're agreeing deals with Hannigan. We're agreeing deals with different people around, making sure we hit the right things in terms of match day experience, because we understand that people don't just come for that 80 minutes of rugby. They've got to come for other things around that. So no, it's massively exciting for us. And yeah, we're working with Scarborough Group International. They're the guys that's developing it and developing the whole sort of lower Don Valley site. There's hundreds of acres that they're basically developing around there. So no, it's exciting. It's exciting for everyone down there, really, that it's going to continue to develop in the next...
It's establishing that home, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the good thing for me is it's very visual. You can see it rising out the ground, and that's where a lot of the interest is coming from, because people see the hashtag Stadium Saturdays post we put out there, and you can see it growing and see it building and seeing it come to fruition. I mean, I've been down and took some photos the other day, and didn't realise that when Liam went down the week after, there was a whole roof on it, and it really is going at pace now. So.
We'll touch on that, on the stadium and the community elements on the next episodes. If anyone wants to tune in next week to find out more about the stadium and the impact it's having in not just the local community, but the local business community, we'll see you next week.